8:37. Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Shifting gears completely right now. I want to welcome back to the studio Eric B. Lewis. Eric, what's happening, man? Happy New Year.
Same to you, sir. Glad to be here. Appreciate you giving me the opportunity to come and spend a few minutes with you.
Always, always. You've got an event coming up, a STEM workshop coming up in Baker. Let's talk about the event before we start to dive into some of the other stuff surrounding the push for STEM as well. So what are the details of what we're looking at?
So I'm really excited about it. It's Aerospace Engineering Day, and so kids will have the opportunity to build model rockets, model airplanes, fly drones, and then we'll conclude by going outside and launching a few rockets that go, about 3,000 feet into the air. So it'll be a pretty cool experience for the kids.
I'm sorry, you said 3,000 feet into the air.
Yep. I've lost a couple of them.
I would imagine. So what does it take to get involved with this? Because sending something 3,000 feet in the air sounds like it would take a little bit of know-how.
Yeah, so it's something we've been working on for a minute. And so throughout the program at Baton Rouge STEM, it's one of 9 workshops that we offer. Mm-hmm. So we've been doing it for a bit now, but it's pretty cool. And again, the kids, as a part of the workshop, the kids, get to learn about a lot about aerospace engineering, flight, trajectories, and things of that nature. And so we did it during our summer camp, and actually at the conclusion of that week during the summer camp, the kids had an opportunity to spend time at the Baton Rouge airport, experiencing some things that they probably never knew about. So I think it's really a cool aspect.
This has been something that's a passion of yours for some time now. Are you seeing it start to grow and really, pardon the pun, take off when it comes to kids taking to this path of education?
Yeah, I think there's so many different aspects of it. My background actually working for Texas Instruments in the aerospace industry is part of the reason why I'm passionate about it. But I think, even as we look at our local economy, there's so many aspects of STEM that create opportunities for families that it's important that we engage students in it as early as possible. And so while, we're not expecting kids to become petrochemical engineers, I do think that there's aspects of it that heighten their awareness and just give them a taste for it to see if it's something that they want to pursue. We live in a world where there's so many different things that kids want to pursue, where they see people become rich from so many different things. Mm-hmm. And I just don't want kids to lose sight of how STEM is engaged in every aspect of their life.
Yes, especially the cool aspects like firing a rocket 3,000 feet up in the air. What's that like, seeing that spark in a kid's eye when they take to it?
So each time we've done it, we've done it with at the various Brett camps this summer. We've done it at many of the different schools that we work with. But the one common theme, it's a moment of about 3 or 4 seconds of silence after the kids count down, mm-hmm. and then you just hear kids screaming.
Oh, I bet.
And then all the eyes go in the air, and then they come back down once the rocket lands. And so I think it's, again, something most kids don't get a chance to experience. It's not the same thing as fireworks, but it's pretty cool. And then for them to be able to relate what we've done, like in the classroom and building model rockets, to what they're seeing take place outside, for them to be able to really make a connection to things that they've done from a hands-on standpoint, and then take that to what they see on the news with a NASA space launch.
We're talking with Eric B. Lewis about an upcoming STEM workshop, talking aeronautical engineering, to be sure. Who's this for? What's our grade levels looking at? So
typically we serve kids from 8 to 14 years old. But actually, our last workshop, we had a child as young as 1 year old. And a lot of times their parents will come in and work with them. So it's a great way to do some family bonding on a Saturday. And so there really is no age limit.
Okay.
I would say, like in the schools, typically it's kids from between the age of 8 to 14. But these community events, again, I think are a great way for families to do things together on a Saturday morning.
STEM as an acronym has been growing in popularity, but the actual curriculum behind it has been around for a while. We're seeing more and more of a shift towards this. It's very intentional shift towards this in our schools. How important is the reinforcement outside of the classroom, events like this one?
So I think what's really cool about it, and to your point, I think a lot of times, probably you and I growing up, we sat in classes and kids were like, well, when am I actually going to use this in life? And so I think what STEM does it helps to give kids, true application of the things that they're learning in math, as an example. Again, across the board. And so when kids have the opportunity to do things on the weekends or during the summer or after school, it again reinforces the things that they're learning in the classroom, and it gives them practical application of the things that they're being taught in class.
Is it easier for you to get a hold of them first and then them learn more in the class, or is it easier if they're learning in the class and then bring what they've learned out to your workshops?
I think it's a both, because we actually use the things that they're learning in class.
Right.
And so in every activity, we fall back on some type of math standard that they're learning in the classroom. I think what's beautiful for the kids is to have that actual reinforcement. And so when you see the hands fly up, if you ask the mathematical definition of a square, or what's the total number of degrees within a geometric shape. And so one of the cool things is that kids that haven't reached that yet in school, they get to learn it in these activities and exercises. But then to see the older kids, again, the light bulb goes on, and they were like, yeah, that's what that actually means, or that's why we're using that. So I think it can go both ways.
We're talking with Eric B. Lewis about an upcoming STEM workshop. It says on the little flyer here, STEM is life and life is STEM. I can't imagine us being able to oversell that, because that we need to have a mindset of what happens in the classroom doesn't stay in the classroom. It carries over to the rest of our lives.
So let me give you a really relevant. I saw this, I don't know if you call it a meme or whatever, going around the last couple of days about that you guys can just call off the Easter egg hunts because the price of eggs are going up. And so it's been going around the last couple of days. But what's really cool is that one of the schools that we work with in Baker, they already had a garden. And so we were working with them on the garden, getting it back up and going. And so we added chickens to the garden.
Okay.
And so the kids are able to actually see the chickens grow. So they actually, saw that entire process. But I think the extension of that is, the chickens lay eggs, and now the kids, it goes beyond the STEM. And so the kids can actually, they can sell the eggs, they can replenish their garden, they can have, the finances and supplies that they need to keep their garden going. And so I think that is an example of what we say about STEM is life and life is STEM, because STEM is involved in the producing the food that we eat. And so working with Park Ridge and Baker is a true application of what we're talking about there.
Talk with Eric B. Lewis about this upcoming workshop. All right, Eric, I don't want to scare anybody off if you're hearing about firing rockets off in the air. There is no baseline of knowledge. Y'all will work with whoever shows up, right? So just it's a want to learn is all that's really needed.
And so we're climbing the ladder together. Again, we're going to build paper model rockets, paper airplanes. We'll fly drones. But this culminates in the launching of a rocket. And so we go through the process together. Everyone is learning together. It's a completely safe environment. But I think it's one that parents and children alike will truly enjoy.
Be honest, is it more fun to see the kids light up or to see the parents nerd out along with them?
Well, I think the cool thing is for the parents to give their kids an experience that's low to no cost for them, for them to have fun and they're learning, and the joy in the parents' eyes to see their kids actually learning something is life-changing.
Got Eric B. Lewis with us talking about the STEM workshop that's coming up January 21st, 9 to 11 a.m. at the City of Baker Workforce Development Center. That's 3262 Baker Boulevard in Baker, Louisiana. What do folks need to do to register?
So they can go to the website at batonrougestem.org. There is going to be limited seating. It's a great facility that the City of Baker has allowed us to use, but there will be limited seating. And so if you could register as soon as possible, and that's all they need to do. So it's free. We provide lunch at each of these workshops. And so it's a great way to spend a Saturday morning.
You said this is the first of how many for the year?
Well, so we have a total of 9 series. We've been doing this in Baker since the beginning of the fall. And so we'll be wrapping up in Baker soon and moving to a different part of the community.
STEM covers a lot of ground. What do some of the other ones look like?
So we have a chemistry one. We have a really cool basic electronics where kids will be able to build electronic devices. We have a STEM athletics where we connect STEM and sports. So we actually did a camp over winter break at one of the local private schools. We do build bridging. That was the last one we did in Baker. We had a bridge building competition to see whose bridge could hold the most weight. And then we always start off with coding, teaching the kids how to code, and basic robotics, which we talked about the last time I was here.
And the robotics one was fun. You brought in some props for that. The working robots were fun as well. Do you have a favorite within there?
I think this one is my favorite. So because it's again a mix of hands-on. It gets the kids outside to actually launch the rocket, and so, it also again gives them a connection to something that's going on in industry. There's a certain very famous person that's heavily into this, and so I think the kids can relate to this as well because it's something that's going on in pop culture right now.
Yes, it is. It's very heavily into this. It's very controversial as well. I like the way you walk through that without actually saying his name. That's it's Eric B. Lewis.
So I think because of that, I think that's another reason why this is pretty cool because a lot of kids can relate to it.
Well, you get to see the application of what you do. I mean, when I was in school, science was boring. I mean, aside from like cutting up a frog, what did we do? It was all inside the textbook. None of it was out. We got to drop an egg off the side of a building at one point. But other than most of what we learned was inside the textbook. Stuff like this is very hands-on, and you get to see the real-life application, and you get to see like just how what you do. There's a tangible accomplishment with it.
One of the ones that we did, and this was in partnership with schools that we're working with in Baker during their homecoming parade. We built, so the pre-K kids could not walk in the homecoming parade, so we built little motorized floats for them, and then went into their classrooms and had a little parade with the little motorized floats that some third and fourth graders built. So then they still got a chance to participate in STEM and in the parade piece. So, so to your point, there's a lot of different ways that we make it come to life for kids of all ages.
That's the one I want to be. I want to build the Mardi Gras floats. That's what I want to do. He is Eric P. Lewis. We will include the link to the registration when we post this on demand after the show is over with. BatonRougeSTEM.org is where you're going to find it online. Eric, I always appreciate the time, man. Thanks a million.
Appreciate it, my man.
Absolutely.